Greetings, programs. This is Wretch. Welcome back to Supposedly Wonderful Future. Now, in the last episode, we got to be a fly on the wall and watch the interactions between Ashley and her friends, including that awkward encounter with Daniel. But before we go ahead and talk to her and actually then contact some of the actual suspects, let's go ahead and talk to these two gentlemen and see if they have anything new to add to this. Let's start with Sam Spade first. You back already? Did you know that the girl didn't really think about suicide? It was just her way of attracting attention? Yeah, what else is new? I said from the start this whole case was a waste of time. You didn't exactly say that. Didn't I? I must have assumed it was too obvious to state. Well, let's discuss some non-case related things. Oh, don't tell me we're best pals now. I have pals like you on every other case, unable to stay silent for more than a minute. This is a charming guy, Kojak. Do you work for the police? Isn't it obvious? Well, maybe you're a private investigator or something. Yeah, maybe I also don't need money to survive. No, in this place you either work for the government or you work for corporations. And considering that I work for the government but still ended up here, you always work for corporations. Oh, that's very cyberpunk. So, how's the crime rate these days? I'm scrapping by. Must be cool to be a policeman in a police state. Police state? Don't make me laugh. Those bureaucrats have no idea to maintain a regular state. Illusion of order is all they're good for. People are so into illusions, they forget what a heavy stone can do to your head. I bet some still try to remind them from time to time. Some do, and then I sweep down, grab their asses, and throw them in prison and get some food on the table. I bet prisons are also not what they used to be. Oh, don't remind me. It's like a sect these days, not a prison. They'll make a serial killer dance around the Christmas tree there. You don't support rehabilitation? Oh, I support rehabilitation. I don't support mind control. Why don't they just invent a fancy Technic gizmo and upload a new personality into his head? I say, if a guy's crazy, leave him be in a cell. At least he'll be himself. Right? I'm from the past, you know? They say I'm stuck in the past, too. We'd solving imaginary crimes if you ask me. No, I mean I'm literally from the past. I jumped 30 years forward using a time machine yesterday. Yeah, and I had dinner with the King of England. Oh? How was it? Unappetizing. What's up with the Mr. Detective attire? It's practical. People see the coat and the hat, they immediately assume who I am. Saves producing the badge. That's fair enough. Ever heard of the Grumpy Cat? Sounds like my type of cat. You bet. I think you're her reincarnation. Is she dead then? Too bad I wasn't there. I could use a dead cat case instead of this circus. I don't think her passing was related to any crimes. Well, I don't think our current pastime is related to any crimes, but that doesn't seem to stop you. Let's get back to business. Some fancy business we have here. Okay, well, dead end there. How about you, sir? Hello again. Well, tell me about your potential culprits. 5 of them, right? Yes, 5 marvelous personalities provided to you for further scrutiny. They are the usual suspects, if you catch my drift. Oh, goody. Catching Kaiser Sose is a childhood's dream of mine. Oh, that makes 2 of us, my friend. So nice to work with a fellow enthusiast. And they are suspected because they had the means to do this. What we're after is someone who could access her account and write a blog post under her name, right? Well, she did say that her account was hacked. That's what she told you as well, did she? I, however, made a thorough examination and found no signs of hacking. No indication that the security was compromised at all. which leaves us with a simpler explanation. The culprit had access to her account because she voluntarily gave it to them earlier. The 5 suspects I give you are the members of the same team. They all worked on the show with Ashley, and they all knew her account's password. What do you mean they knew her password? I mean she told her password to each of them at one point or another, so they could log in and use the stuff she created. To simplify the teamwork, you know? Oh wait, just wait a minute. That's not how it's supposed to be, even if you do something together. You send emails, you upload files, you don't share your entire freaking account. Who does that? Can the fact that she trusted them completely be of any excuse? Man. Not after a mess like this happened, it can't. Well, you're right, of course. From a perspective of someone like you and me, it sounds completely ludicrous. However, consider a couple of facts. First, she's not the most savvy internet user around. She's just good at using specific software that helps to make the show. And even savvy users can have weird security compromising habits, for that matter. Second, her personality is not security friendly either. She never even considered her friends could do such a terrible thing. Combine the two together and, well, doesn't make this any less wrong, but at least it gets more believable. Are you sure she wasn't hacked? As sure as it gets. I'm no world-class code breaker, but I know a thing or two about cybersecurity myself. And it's not just about my skills. Hacking itself is a rather unlikely event. Why? Is it such a big deal to break into somebody else's account? A very big deal. Your account is the gateway to everything you do online, from financial transactions to countless social interactions. It's more of an electronic passport than an account. Correspondingly, big corporations spared no expense in improving general level of security. Life Plus has made great contributions to the cause as well. If your account is so important, shouldn't there be other authentication steps like voice recognition or fingerprints or whatever you guys use these days? You're right, there usually are. Sadly, you can switch them all off if you want to, and that's exactly what our girl did. Another indication of her trusting personality. If corporations take this so seriously, shouldn't it be a cybersecurity case rather than a cyberbullying case? You know, with more manpower on the scene? Oh, it could have easily been. They're usually ready to react at the slightest suspicion of hacking. Her operation is just a boring family party compared to what Life Plus security department could have deployed around here. They're also much better equipped to track hackers through the net. However, there's an important but. That but being? They care only about security, not the aftermath. Not an intangible emotional aftermath like this, at least. No bank accounts data was stolen, no money was lost. It doesn't matter that the incident was the real reason she lost both of her jobs. Ashley would be left would be left to her own means without any closure, explanation, or proper mental help. I think Jackie understands that too. That's why she and I were able to keep the security guys in the blind. This is a cyberbullying case. In a just world, it should be. And how exactly solving this crime will help Ashley to get back her jobs? It won't if we stop right after that, but we're not planning to. Once we understand the whole situation, we'll share our knowledge with the net and give this story as much coverage as possible. Ashley's fans and Ashley's boss made their decisions based on incomplete data. If we fix that, they just might reconsider. I don't think I'll be able to stick around for that. I'm on a tight schedule. Jackie told me as much. Don't worry, I'll take it from there. Uncovering the truth is still the most important thing. Well, maybe someone just guessed her password. Thought about that, but after seeing the password, I think we can rule the possibility out. She may be completely security blind, but it wasn't something you can guess or crack brute force. No, you have to pull it right from the server's database or know it to begin with. Well, knowing the password and taking advantage of it is not the same thing. Maybe it was somebody else entirely. Well, according to Ashley, these 5 people are the only ones who had the access, and because we ruled out hacking, it simply has to be one of them. That's the best logical conclusion I can give you at the moment. Can't you identify our target by their online activity? Like see who was logged into Ashley's account at that specific time? Unfortunately, no. That can't be done reliably. I can only say that the target lives in the local area, but that's true for all of our suspects. Security is usually so good and collaboration software so convenient, 99.9% of the time that there's a guarantee that accounts are used solely by their holders. When they're not, however, identification process gets rudimentary, and we're left in the dark. Aren't they all supposed to be friends? Even friends can have skeletons in cupboards, and sometimes you end up hurting friends because the skeletons rattle their bones annoyingly and whispers things in your ear. Figuratively speaking. Did she share her password with the entire team? Almost. The only exception is the show's director. Ashley said she tried to give it to him as well, but he specifically refused. Is it enough to rule him out? Maybe he learned the password from others. No, I don't think he's ever used Ashley's account. He was also away on a trip when this happened. His alibi's solid. So you're telling me that this whole incident happened solely because of her password-sharing quirks? Basically, yes. Don't take it the wrong way, though. We all have our quirks. That doesn't mean others are free to exploit them. Should we even investigate this? She kind of brought it on herself. Of course we should. It's a cyberbullying case, remember? Doesn't matter how easy she made it for them. It's still wrong. If nothing else, it's worse. They took advantage of her generosity. Which is true. Well, enough about this for now. Sure. Is there anything else you need to know before starting? Good lord. Okay. How can I talk with the suspects? Well, you can make a video call to any of them from the terminal in Ashley's room. They should be available and willing to cooperate. Theoretically. We can't bring them to you face to face. There's not enough evidence for that, but we did our best to explain how unwise it could be to ignore us. Is there any other evidence to pursue? Sure. It's all there on the terminal. You can read her fake resignation post, the team's official response, people's reaction. You know, see it for yourself how it all happened. There are also recordings from their last meeting at the library. Why would they meet at the library? It's just a convenient place to get a free room and do some work face-to-face, as opposed to their usual remote interaction. It's like, you know where to find me today thing, from what I could gather. They plan a date in advance, and then throughout the day, people would come and do stuff with other people. They call it a meetup. Do we have a main suspect? Well, suspect C would be the obvious choice. He and Ashley had a short but rather unpleasant argument during their team's last meeting at the library, right before this incident happened. Now, I think we did this in the wrong order, but let's go ahead and follow this through. What about? He tried to ask her out, got rejected. Tried again, got rejected more firmly, stormed out. Returned later to apologize, to be fair, but still, both parties were left with probably a bad aftertaste. Do you think he did it then? Got mad because of the rejection and decided to punish her? And if you want do you want an obvious cool investigator response or a more down-to-earth response? The former would be, no way, it's never that simple. He can't be that clueless. The latter would be, yes, he can be that clueless, and ruling him out just because we think everyone is smart would be the worst kind of mistake. Also, yes? There's a noticeable difference in character. His romantic attempts are hasty at best, stupid at worst. The fake resignation post is subtle, careful, and full of well-chosen phrasing. But this, of course, can also work both ways. Maybe it's yet another indication that he's not our culprit. Or maybe he can be subtle when he wants to, and use this difference exactly to avert our obvious suspicions. That would mean he's actually rather cunning. Right. Kaiser Soze style. Precisely. Well, that's all I need to know. You're the boss. Any advice on how to approach the suspects? Look for a motive. As you can see, there's not much hard evidence to go by, so the psychological aspect comes first. Learn their personalities, probe them with questions, find out how they really feel about Ashley, and use it to connect the dots. You never know how bitter deep inside someone can be. So it's more of a mind game than a proper investigation, really. Well, insofar that we don't have bits of evidence to piece together and can't identify the culprit from fingerprints or DNA scans, yes. But we still have a victim, and we owe her to figure out the truth. That counts as investigation in my book. But in the end, I'll just have to guess. You'll need to go with your guts, yes, but it doesn't have to end there. Once you decide on your primary suspect, you can try to trick them into confessing. Keep asking uncomfortable questions, make them feel guilty, or even give them a taste of their own medicine. You mean, troll them. If you think it might help, then yeah, feel free to. Well, I suppose that would kind of defeat the purpose of investigation. Yes, thank you for understanding that. Adopting the enemy's tactics is a dangerous ground. There's nothing wrong in it per se, but you have to be very careful. Agreed. But even if you do none of these things, even if you just point at a person and say, grab this one, well, you're the boss. I'd rather we end up with something more substantial, but yeah. The Big Brother explicitly said your decision should be trusted completely. I don't know what kind of circumstances can give a man's opinion so much weight, but I respect you guys and your work enough to play along. Did you know that the girl didn't really think about suicide? It was just her way of attracting attention. Was it? Oh, well, that doesn't really matter. It doesn't? I thought it was kind of the point of the whole commotion. Not the whole point. The cyberbullying still happened, right? That's good enough reason to start investigating. Besides, you can never really tell if a person is having suicidal thoughts until it's too late. Too fragile of a substance. Yeah, I see your point. I mean, nobody can say for sure, so it really is a matter of trust, right? You either assume people are honest, pay attention, and end up with some false alarms, or assume that they're lying, wave your hand, and end up with a body count. I don't know about others, but I made this choice a long time ago, my friend. What is Mr. Ketley's role here? Mr. Ketley is the muscle of the operation, and are linked to official law enforcement institutions. The latter entails some perks, the most relevant of which being the right to walk into somebody else's house and search it. I imagine you'd be happy to exercise it. Happy somewhere deep inside, that is. Should we be searching their computers rather than their actual living spaces? Like browsing history and stuff? Or we're authorized to do that too. In fact, I already have, only it didn't amount to anything worth mentioning. But a physical space might still tell something where digital couldn't. Would that even help? You probably won't find any hard evidence. It's not that kind of crime. True, but we might stumble upon something helpful. Something that may shed more light on their relationships with Ashley or even give away their motive. Our best bet is to learn more about these people, and a house can say a lot about its residents. Got it. Maybe we'll find a nice little Ashley shrine. That being said, I don't want to encourage you to use the search warrants just because we can. If you feel it'll help the investigation, then by all means do so, but otherwise, let's stick to less invasive procedures. Care for some personal chatting? Sure thing. It's important to develop mutual trust within a unit. What exactly is your occupation? Well, I consider myself an artist. I thought you were more on a technical side of things. That's right, but I do it on the net. Everyone's an artist on the net. I don't follow. It's a feeling, you know? We do what we do for a variety of reasons, like maybe you just need the money, or maybe you have to do it because of some social, cultural, or family-related restrictions. But when you go online, you leave it all behind. Online, you do stuff because it matters. It's like a pure form of existence. That's pretty romantic. It deserves to be. The internet is the place to go when you're tired of stereotypes and assumptions. There are no borders, nationalities, or other superficial differences. There are only people of Earth, and the many wonderful things that we can create together. Unless there are incidents like Ashley's. Exactly. And that's why I will do my damn best to uncover the truth and exact justice on the culprit. It's not just Ashley who's under attack, it's the values of the world I love and live in. And that makes it personal. But all of this is not so in real life? Not yet, unfortunately. I mean, you Life Plus guys do a lot to break the actual borders as well, and I immensely respect that, but it's so much effort. Feels like you're fighting with the natural order itself. Online, it's the other way around. You need to work up a sweat if you want to impose borders, not to break them. Because of that, I think the net stays 20, 30 years ahead of the meat world. Globalized society is just the natural state of things there. Are you an independent artist or a Life Plus artist? I'm an independent artist who's been doing nothing but work for Life Plus lately. Don't want to complain though. I support your cause and like your no-nonsense attitude. I probably would have agreed to become a full-time employee by now, but Jackie likes to keep a handful of trusted contractors for discrete cases, and I guess I've become one of them. I see. I myself don't have a lot of experience with the online world. I pretty much skipped the last 30 years. Yeah, Jackie did mention something like that. I don't want to judge. I'm sure you have your hands full with meat world problems, being a big guy at Life Plus and all that. But just a little friendly observation. You're missing out, man. You know, I'm from the past. Awesome. What year did you choose? I didn't choose a year. I was just living there. That's the attitude. Immersion, man. Immersion. Wait, you think I'm talking about simulation? Virtual reality. Hey, nothing virtual about it. Real is what you feel, my friend. Never mind. You should check 2021 sometime. Now that was one hell of a year. Do you always talk so much? Only when I play Mr. Exposition, but hey, somebody has to, right? And there are always so many fascinating details and everything, I get carried away. Sorry if it bothers you, though. It makes me hard to follow. Well, let's get back to... Oh, we finished. And the music has changed. Interesting. Anything? Is the circus over yet? It's not a circus. It's Cyberbullying Investigation Unit. Oh, right. What's next? Jaywalking Rapid Response Team? And how does one rapidly respond to jaywalking? Don't know. By beating the crap out of everyone who looks like they just might attempt to jaywalk? That's just your solution to everything. Guilty. Oh, I'm ready to name the culprit. Okay, I'll probably return then. So that has changed. Let's see if Ashley has any new info. Do you want to know something else? Can you tell me about the suspects? Of course. I work with these people. Used to work until recently, I mean. Who do you have in mind? Well, we will go down the line. Tell me about Carl. He's a nice guy, even when he doesn't sound like one. Very talented and committed. A perfectionist. I could never pay so much attention to little things. His acting is flawless, and the occasional episodes he writes always have a very unique style. May not be the easiest person to work with, but the troubles are worth it. Do you think he did this? Not a chance. He may talk bad about people, but to actually waste effort on bringing them down, he's too busy leaving his mark on the world for that kind of thing. Okay, now tell me about Vivian. She's amazing. A constant inspiration to me, really. The way she acts, moves, and talks. It's like she spends her every waking hour on a gigantic stage. She's my co-lead. We have roughly equal parts on the show, and I always thought it's unfair that I get more attention. Well, that's not a problem anymore. Do you think she did this? Of course not. She's completely disinterested in mundane affairs. Art is all she lives and breathes. I wish I could do that too. I wish I could disappear in art and forget about all this. How about Daniel? He's alright. inconsiderate sometimes, but that's not because he doesn't care about other people. He just doesn't give it enough thought. He joined us only recently, and he's not very committed, but I've tried to teach him the basics, and he proved to be a decent learner. I'm sure he can be a great addition to the team. Do you think he did it? Unlikely. He can be clueless, and it might get unpleasant, but he'll never hurt others knowingly. And that resignation post, well, it's impossible to write something like that without realizing how much real damage it can bring. How about Anne? She's my best friend. We've been together long before this show started. I kind of dragged her into it. Chewed her ear off with talks about how awesome the whole thing was. Today, however, it's impossible to imagine our decorations without her magical treatment, so it was totally worth it. I'm sure she never regrets it as well. So I'd guess you don't think she did this? That is just unthinkable. There's nothing in the world she cares about more than my mental and physical well-being. When I start to work too hard, she's always there to look after me and squeeze some fun in. I'm honestly blessed to have such a wonderful friend. I want you to go ahead and tell me about Chloe. She's awesome. We never had such a kind and friendly atmosphere without her. She lives in her own world, but it's a good kind of world. The kind of world we should all visit more. She's our principal writer, and her stories and scripts are just awesome as she is. Now, she's the one who's all immersive, I think. Do you think she did it? No way. She's the sweetest person ever. And even if she wasn't, she'd still be too preoccupied with all those big topics and ideas flowing through her head. She'd probably find this whole business incredibly boring. You and Daniel had another incident right before this happened, right? It's more like a misunderstanding than an incident, really. I wouldn't say we were closer than anybody else working on the show, but one day he asked me out. I didn't want to be in a relationship just yet, so I tried to say no in the politest way possible, and he wasn't satisfied and kept trying. Then it got awkward. Then I might have said no in a less polite way, and then this whole thing happened. But you still don't think he did it? I don't know. It could have been bad timing, right? It's true that the conversation wasn't smooth, but it's also true that he tried apologizing the same evening. Besides, he never struck me as someone who can take his grudge this far. No, that would be too out of character. Do you know why Chloe's picture is a silhouette of a penguin? Because she insists to be one. To be a penguin, or to be a silhouette of a penguin? I don't think she's ever specified. How is that possible? You met her in person, right? Doesn't she look human? Well, yeah, but you can never know for sure, right? Right. So, you think none of them are guilty? Well, yes. I can't wrap my head around a mere possibility of them doing something like this. No disrespect or anything, but this incident may suggest you are prone to suddenly discovering stuff about people. Yeah, you're right. You probably shouldn't give my opinion much credit. You're in a better position to figure this out. Then who do you think it was? I don't have the slightest idea. I'm really sorry if I can't be of any real help. I feel so useless. And that's pretty much all from Ashley. Okay, guys, well, we have gotten some more info here, and in the next episode, we will go ahead and actually chat with the suspects and get some warrants served Carmen Sandiego style. But hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you liked the episode, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. And we'll see you next time. Later days, everyone.